All right, more life and times of George Washington. So we're still camped outside of Boston during the siege, following the battles of Lexington and Concord, and Washington's appointment to commander-in-chief of the Continental Army. And when Washington took command, he discovered something that was rather alarming, and that was the army surrounding Boston, looked ready for war, but it really wasn't. They were essentially out of gunpowder, and they weren't low, they weren't short, they were basically empty. And so Washington ordered a full inventory, and the result was it shocked him, right? In some units, there was barely enough powder for a few rounds per man. So if the British attacked, the Continental Army couldn't respond. And Washington kept this secret because he knew that panic would spread instantly if soldiers realized the truth. Instead, he rationed powder carefully and avoided open confrontation. The drills continued and the patrols continued, and they wanted to have this appearance of readiness because, man, that really mattered. Behind the scenes, Washington wrote urgent letters back to the Continental Congress and the colonial assemblies. He even wrote them to folks that just anybody that could help, who could help supply powder. He approved some risky measures like smuggling gunpowder from the Caribbean, stripping defenses elsewhere to keep the army alive. I mean, at one point, gunpowder was taken from forts that technically protected other colonies. And it was a dangerous gamble. Washington understood the stakes, and if the British were to happen to learn the truth, well, the war could really change in just a single attack. And so this particular crisis was important for the shaping of Washington, because he learned that wars are not won by, courage and bravery alone, right? They're won by logistics. So he had to make sure that they focused on supply and planning and information control. And in the early months of the Revolution, Washington commanded an army that looked ready for battle, but really only survived through, secrecy and discipline, and then just desperate improvisation. Thanks for watching.